Check out what's going on in the comments under the company's posts. Under each post, there are hundreds of demands to bring Dafooq back to the helm of Skibidi Toilet. Overall, there are tens of thousands of similar hashtags expressing discontent across all social networks. But that's not enough, because we still don't have an official response from the company. We don't know if Dafooq will be the leader or not, so we need to continue promoting the viewers' demands. Also, don't forget to like this video, because it helps with promotion on YouTube. Let's try again to get 5,000 likes. I think the company is already aware of our demand, so the next step should be decisive, because everything is at stake. Either the company does what it wants and loses part of its audience, or it does what the viewers want, and the viewers want one thing: for Dafooq to return and start creating episodes, and most importantly, for his voice to be restored. As we can see, Dafooq does not have the right to speak negatively about the new Emergence project and the company's plans in general, so he came up with a brilliant way to let us know his opinion. He did this with the help of the lyrics of his favorite songs, and if you read the lyrics, you will find phrases like, "I didn't want it to turn out this way, don't give up, greedy world," and so on. We talked about this in detail in the previous video. The link is in the upper right corner of the screen. Viewers made it clear to the company what they thought about the whole situation, and now it's the company's turn to have its say. This isn't the first time the company has ruined a work. As I said, the Shrek cartoon was postponed twice. Initially, the cartoon was supposed to be released in the summer of 2026, but after harsh criticism due to the glamorous and unnatural characters, the company was forced to postpone it until winter 2026, but then made the final decision to release it on June 30th, 2027. And that was the right decision if they want to be successful. Yes, in fact, they will have to change all the main characters and do everything over again. The owners of Skibidi Toilet are in almost the same situation, but unlike the Shrek studio, they have not yet announced their official decision. Instead, we have several answers from some kind of closed interview with YouTubers, but at least it said that episode 80 will be released in the SFM program, but that's not enough. It's important for viewers that the episodes are not only released in this program, but that everything is directed by Dafooq, because the meaning is not only in the graphics, but in the plot of the story that Dafooq has been developing for 2 years. As I said, this is not the first time that studios have made a mistake. There is nothing wrong with that. The main thing is to realize it and work on the mistakes. This is what the studio that created the Sonic movie did, for example. If they hadn't changed the main character, their movie would hardly have grossed $319 million. Skibidi Toilet will have the same success if the executives listen to the viewers. Many still don't understand the essence of the new series. Emergence is not just a continuation, but rather a mysterious experiment. Its episodes are assembled as if from torn pieces of a timeline. Viewers have to literally piece together the plot from fragments, constructing their own version of events in their minds. But instead of intrigue, this approach has caused confusion, because the picture looks soapy and the characters' movements seem out of context. All this has reinforced the impression of chaos and unnaturalness. Today, I want to talk in more detail about the future of Skibidi Toilet, where the fandom is headed, and what events are happening in it right now. And at the end, we'll discuss the most painful topic: why the series is on the verge of extinction and whether it will be able to get out of this crisis at all. First, it's worth mentioning the short film that came out on November 3rd. In it, the narrator recounts the main events of the series in just a few sentences, which attentive viewers have known for a long time. If this video was intended as a way to help newcomers understand the plot, then believe me, 2 minutes is clearly not enough to even begin to understand the essence of what is happening in the world of Skibidi Toilet. In addition, Dafooq released a collection of episodes from the 1st to the 38th on his channel. Why is also not entirely clear. Perhaps these videos were made for purely practical purposes, to increase activity and earn a little money from views, because both the shorts and the compilation showed pretty good numbers. But all of this pales in comparison to what happened next. After all, the most controversial thing we've seen recently is the Emergence trailer. And here, to be honest, the situation is depressing. A third of the minute-long video is taken up by unnecessary chatter and meaningless cuts, and what remains, the scenes with the characters themselves, looks terrible, to say the least. The animation is uneven, The movements are unnatural, and the composition of the frames destroys the atmosphere. All this creates the impression that this is not official content from Dafooq, but another fan-made video, where the author simply inserts whatever comes to mind into the plot without thinking about the logic and style of the original. With each new frame, the question arises more and more strongly. Where is the project going? And does it still have the charisma that once made Skibidi Toilet a viral phenomenon? I want to emphasize once again, the transition to new and more convenient animation programs is, in general, a step forward, not backward. Even Dafooq himself has said more than once that Source Filmmaker often glitches, freezes, and can suddenly crash, erasing hours or even days of work. So the desire to switch to different software is quite understandable. Every creator is looking for a tool that will allow them to work faster and more stably. But unfortunately, Emergence has shown the flip side of this coin. The authors seem to have not fully mastered the new program, which is hard to believe, because does such a large company really not have any decent animators? The plot turned out to be chaotic, with events changing so quickly that the viewer simply cannot keep up with them. The animation is soapy and jerky, and the scenes sometimes look ridiculous and illogical. A particularly striking example is the death of TV Man, a moment that could have been one of the most emotional and powerful episodes. Viewers expected something epic and dramatic, but what they got was something resembling a hastily made insert. If you look at the community's reaction, it becomes obvious. The fandom is dissatisfied. The comments and reviews literally scream about it. After the second part of episode 79, a wave of disappointment began. People were waiting for an eventful continuation, but got almost nothing. Half of the episode is running around the base without the key scenes that Dafooq had promised earlier. The strangest thing is that episode 79 could well have been a turning point if the author had expanded the plot and added important moments, rather than simply changing the ending by showing the head of the Titan Speakerman. But instead, he rushed to launch a new project, Emergence, which, in essence, became a blow to the audience's trust, and judging by the numbers, viewers really did start to leave. While all parts of episode 79 consistently garnered 10 to 15 or even 20 million views, Emergence barely reached 7.5 million, and the trailer only garnered about 2.8 million. This is already an alarming sign, an indication that interest in the project has begun to wane noticeably. It seems that the owners themselves understand this. Views are falling, public attention is waning, and now they really need to change something, either return to their roots or completely rethink their approach to creating new episodes. Because of the Skibidi Company, Toilet no longer evokes the same emotions as before. The series, which once impressed with its dynamics and crazy energy, seems to have lost some of that spark today. And the most obvious reason is the excessively long wait for new episodes. When episodes come out once every 6 weeks, viewers simply lose touch with the plot. They forget details, confuse events, and lose interest. But now, on the contrary, the project should be at the peak of its popularity. The company has a wealth of undisclosed storylines at its disposal. The destruction of the Cameraman base, the return of Titan Speakerman, the possible secrets of UFO Astro Toilet is related to the conversation between G-Man and the UFO Toilet. This dialogue can be called one of the most crucial in the entire history of the series. It was after this conversation that the Astro Toilets decided to summon some of the strongest fighters to conquer Earth and take revenge on G-Man. However, it remains a mystery why this conversation caused such aggression in G-Man and the UFO Toilet. Especially since, as we know, it was not the real G-Man at all, but a fake version of him. If a meeting between the real G-Man and the UFO Toilet does take place, he may admit that it was his double who was acting at the time, and they may be able to come to some kind of agreement. But it is possible that G-Man himself controlled his fake and understood perfectly well what he was saying. But he also lost control of the infected Titan Speakerman. Therefore, he and the scientist prepared a fake version of G-Man in advance to protect the real G-Man in case of an emergency. Personally, I would like to finally hear the full dialogue to understand what caused such a global conflict and why He-Man was considered a traitor in their eyes. It is possible that he said something unnecessary, such as hinting that it would be wiser to cooperate with the Alliance. Astro Toilets do not understand such words and act harshly. There is no freedom of speech or freedom of action in their hierarchy. Therefore, perhaps G-Man already understood then that if necessary, it would be easier and even more profitable to work with the Alliance. But instead, viewers saw only running around bases and a couple of short scenes without any development. In the end, even the finale with Titan Speakerman's head did not save the situation, but only reinforced the feeling of incompleteness. It's sad to realize, but judging by the pace of work, instead of the promised 100 or more episodes, we are likely to see far fewer. Creating each episode takes too much time, and it is possible that we will see the release of GTA 6 before the finale of the Skibidi Toilet story. But there are still ways to regain the audience's interest. First, it would be worth completely revising the first part of Emergence. Just delete it or remake it, without unnecessary cutscenes and retellings of old events that viewers already know by heart. Remove the sharpness of the animation, refine the effects of explosions and shooting, and make the visuals smoother and more pleasant. Second, change the format. Let Emergence become not a series of endless fights, but a kind of informational project within the universe. There, you could show the secret agents new technologies, weapons, tactics, bases, archives, everything that is so lacking for the depth of the world. It is there that you could reveal the fates of Cameraman and other characters whose storylines are currently up in the air. The next storyline, which remains unanswered, is related to the appearance of humans. After we were shown living humans for the first time in the 73rd episode, many viewers had high hopes for them, assuming that they could become one of the key races in the series. There were theories that humans had hidden their secret technologies in some bases or storage facilities, which could play an important role in the future of the plot. However, it remains unclear what exactly the purpose of their presence is. Are humans only needed as extras? At the moment, they seem too vulnerable and useless in combat conditions. It would be logical to equip them with endoskeletons, which would make them stronger and more resilient, allowing them to use heavier weapons and seriously repel enemies. Another option would be to turn them into cyborgs with integrated weapons and protection, which would significantly increase their combat potential. In addition, there are still scientists among ordinary people who, in theory, possess valuable knowledge about secret compartments and facilities. For example, about places such as the Alpha Hills base. In Season 25, the scientist TV man asked the scientist humans who worked at Alpha Hills, which means he could have obtained extremely important information from them. Of course, the presence of people makes the series more lively thanks to their jokes, mannerisms, and emotional reactions. But in terms of combat, they remain useless for now, and Dafooq is clearly in no hurry to reveal their true role in the overall story. Another notable moment was in episode 74. At the moment of the elite TV man's teleportation, in the distance, for just a second, an agent could be seen who looked very similar to the as-yet non-existent PC man. Rumors about the PC man race have been circulating for a long time, but until episode 74, we hadn't seen a single character that really resembled them, except perhaps in episode 72, where a character with a square head appeared in the distance, and after that moment, there were no more hints of their existence. If you look at Dafooq's main desk, the first and most prominent piece of technology there is a computer, while cameras, speakers, and televisions are on the sides. This may be an indirect reference to the fact that PC men do indeed exist in this universe. If they do appear, there will most likely be very few of them, perhaps even fewer than TV men. Presumably, their technology will be related to hacking. For example, they will be able to remotely infect enemies, open locked doors, hack cameras, and any devices related to technology. Such an ability would be extremely useful in combat. We have already seen something similar with the lucky cameraman, who had a remote control capable of hacking doors and entire panels, as was the case in the scene against the Skibidi scientist, which prevented him from teleporting. Most likely, the PC man will be the last race added to the series, as it would be illogical to introduce more and more new types of characters. Too many races and factions can confuse the plot and reduce viewer interest. And to be honest, even now it's not easy to keep track of who is fighting whom and who is hiding what secrets. Using new graphics, these moments could be made not just beautiful, but truly atmospheric, so that viewers could once again feel the atmosphere that made them fall in love with this series in the first place. There remains one more, equally important question. Will Skibidi Toilet have a future on the big screen at all? After all, as we know, Michael Bay is interested in the idea of making a feature film based on the series. At first glance, it sounds grandiose, even unbelievable, but if you dig deeper, it becomes clear that there are many nuances and uncertainties. First, it is unknown when filming will begin and when the premiere can be expected. So far, there are no official dates, no confirmed script, and no studio that has taken on the project. Everything is still at the level of rumors and discussions in the community. Secondly, and perhaps most importantly, will anyone still be interested in the series by that time? Skibidi Toilet started as a meme, a viral craze that gained millions of views with its absurdity and unpredictability. But memes are not eternal. If the project's popularity continues to decline, the audience may simply lose interest by the time the film is released. And then, no matter how spectacularly Bay shoots it, the film risks being a commercial failure. For comparison, Transformers is already a global franchise that has been around for decades. Everyone knows it, from children to adults, and it has a huge fan base and a well-thought-out story. Skibidi Toilet, on the other hand, is a much more niche phenomenon, built on humor and chaos. Turning something like that into a feature-length blockbuster is no easy task. Finally, it's worth saying outright, there is no new reliable information about the film yet. No confirmations, no teasers, no leaks from the set. Therefore, it is premature to talk about the future of the film. Perhaps the idea will remain at the level of fan talk, or perhaps it will indeed turn into something big. But if the project does get off the ground, Dafooq and the producers will have to think through every step. After all, for the film not to become another forgotten meme, it needs not only spectacle but also a clear plot, charismatic characters, and the sense of style that once made Skibidi Toilet a viral legend. But none of this will happen if the company that owns the copyright to Skibidi Toilet does not bring Dafooq Boom back into the workflow. Don't give up. Our opinion is already known. We're waiting for news. I'm a super cameraman. See you very soon. Good luck to everyone and bye.